there, everyone. If you're just joining us, you know that we're going to do a quick sound check. So if you're re-listening to this, just skip ahead. I've got Maria Vasquez with us today. She's a life coach and a TEDx speaker, but we're first going to just quickly see that we have gone live. Maria, if you can give me a little hi.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me today. Yep.
With us today. She's a life coach and a TEDx speaker.
Wait, I can't hear you here. Hello? Hold on.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
There we go. We're back. Sorry. I have to unmute myself, right? So hello, everyone, and welcome to the Savvy Business Show. And like I said earlier, I am so excited to have Maria Vasquez with us today because she is a wonderful life coach and a TEDx speaker and a lot of more things that I'm going to give her the opportunity to tell us more about in a minute. But Maria, I'm just so excited to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm just so excited to sit and have this chat with you, especially during the holiday seasons and this particular topic that we're going to talk about.
Yes. So Maria, just quickly, give us a little bit more background about you. You've done your TEDx talk. You do amazing public speaking. I was fortunate enough to meet Maria at an event earlier this year. And I was just so inspired by her talk that I just had to get her on with us here.
Thank you. So I come from a human services background, and I did a lot of human services and criminal justice and leadership training when I was starting off my career. And more recently, I decided to launch out onto my own. So I started doing life coaching, and I got certified to do that. And I also love public speaking, and I know that I have a gift to stand in front of people and help inspire them and motivate them. My platform is storytelling, so I really enjoy using my stories and learning about other people's stories to remind ourselves how amazing and capable and resilient we are. We have a tendency to forget that when we're focused on the problem. And so I use all of that background that I've had in both my life coaching. I'm also a personal trainer because I love working out. And so I use that even there in my classes and in everywhere that I go, especially when I do public speaking and I do talks and stuff. So.
Yes. And you do have amazing stories. So I'm wondering if you wanted to, while we're speaking about the myth of work-life balance, if you wanted to weave one of those in as a little icebreaker for our audience to get into today's topic.
Yes, of course. So I'll start with this story. I am a single mother, and when you decide to start a business and you're a single mother, you have to make some real concrete decisions about what's important and what's going to stay and keep your focus and what you need to kind of let go of. When I sat down with my daughter and I decided I was going to do this because we're a little team, I said, this is what I'm doing. And, there might be some places we have to cut corners. We have to budget. And my daughter said, okay, what are our priorities? And I love that she has been in this enough with me and understands that her training is, what are the priorities? And then we go right to that first, And then I said, okay, here are the priorities. These are the things we have to focus on and get done. And she was really great about joining me in that. And so I always like to start by sharing that story because a lot of women, especially when they're starting off, they say, oh, I can't do this. I'm a mom. My kids are young. I have too much going on. But if it's something that we're really passionate about and it's a gift that we know is going to impact the planet for the better, we have everything we need. We just have to get our team kind of on board. And then and our team is sometimes our spouse, our partners, our children, get everybody on board and say, sometimes we might hit some rocky patches or sometimes, this might happen or that, but we can do this. And then they get excited for you.
Yes.
And one of my favorite moments was, and I might have shared this story before, when I wrote my book, the first box of the book came to the house and my daughter says, can I open the box? And I said, yeah, but please be careful with the knife, right? So when she opens the box and she pulls out the first book, I heard her whisper to herself, I can do anything.
Yeah.
And I thought, what did you just say? Like, I was so overwhelmed by that statement. And she looks at me and says, Mom, if you can do this, then that proves that I can do anything.
Yes.
So it's just a reminder that we really have to go for our dreams. We really have to do those things, because then we give permission to the people around us, especially our children, to fight for their dreams as well.
Yes.
And to do the things that they know are in them to do.
And so I want to pick up where you just you drop some really valuable nuggets there. I speak a lot about stepping into your CEO role in your business. Yes. And a lot of that is creating buy-in from your team. And like Maria just said, sometimes your team is not necessarily the team that you're leading at work. Sometimes those are the people in your home and in your house that you have to explain what's going on to. Yeah. And I think if you can get people, you could get clear on your vision, on your goals, on what you're trying to achieve, and ask for help. As women, we are so bad at doing that. Bad. You know, asking for help, and then also then prioritizing what needs to happen. Who do I need to support me in this? What can my family and my partner and my children do to help me to achieve this, to help us all to run smoother? And then I loved that bit too. Once you've communicated your vision, whether it be to your business team or to your home team, then everybody knows where you're going. So everybody understands their expectations can be managed. But also it's inspiring to your family. It's inspiring to your team members at work to see what's happening. Yeah. And I think this is like such a great place to start, where this is actually where, you know, most people go wrong with trying to create that space that we call work-life balance. Because work-life balance, it's such a tricky term. A lot of people, you know, are like, oh, and we speak a lot about it, but I do honestly believe that it's more about creating priorities for yourself and then creating the space for you to experience more relief and less pressure. Because when we feel unbalanced, it's that pressure bit, right, that's getting us there. So, which leads us now into the myth of work-life balance. Yes. Let's start with that one, Maria. You've got a lot to say about this.
I love, whenever I have an opportunity to talk to people about work-life balance, I always start by telling them it's a myth. Let's start there. It's a myth. The idea of having this balanced, teetered life, one, would be really boring. Let's be real.
Yes.
And two, it's not realistic in terms of time, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people will say, I want to work as hard as I play, and that's great. But if you're talking about time, and if you work full time, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you work more than full time, you know. So as an entrepreneur or as a full-time employee, you spend 40 hours a week at work. Never mind getting ready for, driving to, mentally preparing for, coming back from, right? The majority of our day is dedicated to work. So it's unrealistic to believe that I can have that equal amount of time to have for my family or for my playtime.
Yes.
So then the priority, I always say to people, we have to release this idea of balance so we can embrace the idea of quality.
Yes.
Right? You want to bring your quality self into all of your spaces. And then there are techniques and things that we can do to get ourselves prepared. Mm-hmm. When I'm at work, I am at work. When I am with you, I am with you. Everything else is shut down. Nothing else matters. The same applies when I'm with my daughter, where we have a tendency to be thinking about work, being with our children, and cooking dinner at the same time.
Yeah, no.
And then you feel like there's too much going on, like you're never getting anything done. It feels unfulfilling.
Yeah, and it's overwhelming. It's such an overwhelming space to be in.
Yes. So when I leave work, I leave work.
Yes.
Like, women, hear me. When we leave work, we have to leave work. And I literally will sit in the car. It takes a couple of minutes and I decompress. I go over a couple of great things about the day, even if the day was hard or stressful. And then I say, okay, now I'm moving into this space with my daughter.
Yes.
And what do I want to bring into the space with her?
And I think it's important to realize that this is a muscle that you build up to. I know that you also teach fitness classes, Maria. This is very much like going to the gym. You have to work on this. This isn't naturally going to happen, specifically as females, where we think in circles. We don't compartmentalize like our other halves do. Like I know I'll look at my husband every now and then and go, Penny, for your thoughts. And he's like, nothing. I'm thinking of nothing. I'm like, how the heck can you be thinking of nothing? Right? So it takes a while for us to build up that muscle. And I think it's also important to not beat yourself up if you do, if you are struggling to find that center, which is where these techniques that we can talk about if Maria was open to it. We call this being present. Like this is sort of the mainstream word for what Maria is describing, right? Of being in the moment with the person that you're at and letting everything else just go by the wayside.
Yes.
That's called presence. And there's such freedom in really just being in the present moment. Yeah, because the pressure, you'll relieve the pressure off of yourself. The thing that's causing all this like drama for you is the fact that you're not being present. So Maria, your top tips, I mean, I know that meditation is going to be one of them, but other like little techniques that people can do that could help them to be more present, specifically now that we're in the holiday season. Help us all.
Yes. And I love that you called it freedom, because it really, really is. When we practice this, and the other part of this that is really important is awareness, right? We have to just allow ourselves to become aware. I'm letting myself go there, and I don't want to ride that train because I need to be here with my kids. Because until we allow ourselves to be more aware, we cannot rectify what we don't identify.
Exactly.
Right? So I see it. I see what I'm doing. That's okay. I'm relearning this new thing, or I've done that for so many years. It's going to take a little work. So you're absolutely right in the being kind to yourself, because it is a process, right?
Yes.
And I always recommend too that people change the words that they use. Don't say this is so hard, because then you convince your brain that it's hard. Instead, you say this is new, and new takes time.
Yes.
This is new, and new takes time. And then the more aware you become, the more you self-correct. And then when you correct, the more you get that practice in that area. So you're absolutely right. Meditation is my number one. I love meditating, just being able to sit and do nothing. First of all, as a mom and as an entrepreneur, giving myself permission to sit still and do nothing is huge.
Massive.
And I had to convince myself that that was okay and give myself permission to do that. Once I started doing that, and then I started learning how to quiet the mind. And again, this is something, just like Hanneke said, that takes practice.
Yes.
You're going to sit there for 15 minutes, and you're going to be thinking for 14 of the 15 minutes.
And
then
that's
you're going to
okay.
say, oh, wait, I'm supposed to quiet my mind, And even if you get a small patch of time, it's something. And then you just keep building from there.
Yes.
So for me, absolutely, meditation is the first thing.
And I know that there are people that are going to go like, where the hell am I supposed to find an extra 10 minutes in my day? And this comes back to a quote from Tony Robbins, where he's like, if you don't have 10 minutes, you don't have a life. That's right. Darling, you have 10 minutes somewhere where you're scrolling on Instagram or Facebook, because I know you're there because I see you like my stuff, right? So that could be one thing. I know for me, where I've decided that's the best space for me to do this is first thing in the morning. I sort of, once my eyes are open and my grogginess are done, to just do it then. So even if this means you get up just 10 minutes earlier or 5 minutes, you can start with 5 minutes. Start anywhere to start.
Yes, absolutely. And I agree. I have to do mine first thing in the morning as well.
Yeah.
Because and it's a great way to set the day.
Yes.
Right? To set the tone of the day as well. Because I know if I can stop myself from thinking and just focus on my breath and allow myself to decompress first thing in the morning, I can also do that anytime during the day and carry that throughout the day as well. Right?
Absolutely.
So the second thing is it's really closely related to meditation, which is just taking deep, intentional breaths. We don't do that enough, especially as women. We kind of plow through everything and like, go, go, go. How many things can I check off of the to-do list? And sometimes just stopping and saying, oh, look, I did that. Good for me. And like,
yes,
just giving ourselves a moment of celebration, right? Like, I did that. I rock. And then that turns into celebrating ourselves. Yes. I think it's really important that we celebrate the little things as well as the big things. We have a tendency to wait until we get the college degree, forgetting that we get to celebrate every paper that we write, every test that we study for and complete, every project that we get done on time. I did that. That's amazing. I'm capable. I'm resilient. Because then when we get to the big things in life, we're hinging on all of those small celebrations and how great we feel and what comes from that, which is the reminder that we are amazing and capable and resourceful.
And so we can do anything, like your daughter was so kind to point out to us. We can do anything.
Exactly. So then when the big things do come, it goes, I can do this. I can do this because this is not as big as I think it is. I have to take it apart and deal with it in small chunks.
I love that.
And then the other thing that I always recommend is what I call prepare the air. And it's when I try to think of it as like, if I'm moving from this space to the next space, how do I kind of prepare the air around myself so that I bring what I need to bring into that space? How do I get myself set up? And sometimes that's sitting in the car for 5 minutes, a little bit of Sade playing in the background because she always makes me nice and relaxed, and just some breathing, checking in like, this happened today, but look at all these things that were great today. The sun is shining. It's nice outside. I have bountiful clothes to wear, and just kind of checking in. And then taking that positive energy and moving that into the next space so you can be, again, fully present.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God. You said so many great things here, because I know that I'm often on, specifically in my mastermind calls, this happened last week where I had them acknowledge what they did right this year. We're kind of doing reflection work right now, and then we're planning into 2019. And the person started off with that and immediately went to, so now, blah, 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 and started talking about what will happen next year. She didn't even take a breath. It was like really, and I had to stop her and go, okay, take a breath, like acknowledge yourself. This is really hard for us as women and us. Yeah. I'm going to say women, because men, I know my husband will like just go, I am amazing. He just has this self-confidence.
Yes.
And, I know that I will go and like be, oh, well, I'm okay, every now and then. And I think it's really important for us to really own it and not see it as boastful or braggy or too big for our boots or tall puppy syndrome or whatever we're going to call it. And realize that this is confidence. And when we rock up with that confidence in our lives, A, we inspire other people. B, we'll get more clients, we'll get more work, we'll get more stuff done.
Yes.
And just love that. And then continue. And when you're in that energy, like clearing the air, when you're in that energy, then whatever you're creating will have that energy, and it will be this, you'll attract more of that in your life because you'll spot those opportunities. You'll engage with those people that are on this level with you. Loving that. And then this has actually been a massive lesson for myself this year, is I would grind away. I'm a recovering workaholic, and right. And I wouldn't really think about the energy that I was bringing to projects. And so I would work when I was frustrated or feeling down or not inspired. And then it would feel hard. Then it would feel like uninspiring, and I wouldn't get the results that I wanted. And as soon as I put two and two together with, this is because I'm not, as Maria just said, clearing the air before I move into something.
Right.
It's really important. And since I've been doing it, I've found more passion, more joy, have had my best year in business this year. These things happen. And so I think it's really important to remember that, like, the energy that you bring to things is going to create more of that energy.
Like energy, right?
Yes, exactly. So to wrap it all up, like, Maria, so if there's still a person that's like, yeah, but I really want work-life balance, and I am not liking what you just said to me, what would you say to them?
Okay, so this is the other nugget that I have for you. I have in my life a list of mandates and a list of maybes, right?
Ooh.
And I say, okay, here are the mandates in my life. My daughter, my business, helping people, these are the things that, my health, my fitness, these are the things that are mandated important to me, right? These are my priorities. Here are the things that are maybe. And on my mandate list is fun and play. Yes. I have to have that on my mandate list now, because I realize how important it is, again, to keep me, it is my responsibility, it is no one else's, to keep myself in a space where I'm giving from a place of love, where I'm feeling fulfilled, where I'm bringing that positive energy and doing what I'm called to do, right? That's my job. So I own that, and I have to, for me, I know that means fun and play, and I know what that looks like for me, right? When those things are mandates, and I say, okay, I'm going to spend time with my daughter every day. I'm going to do something for my body every day. I'm going to meditate every day. These are mandatory things. And I carve out chunks of time for them. Then what happens is, at the end of the day, I get to look at my day and I go, I did everything that was on my mandate list, right? I feel really fulfilled. The quality of my life has improved. So whether or not it was like a balance between this many hours of work and this many hours with my daughter, that no longer matters. I surrender this idea of time.
Yes.
Right? It's a concept anyways. And instead, I just say, I brought quality to my work. I brought quality to my coaching clients. I brought quality when I was with my daughter. When I went to the gym, I showed up in beast mode, like quality, right? When I go out dancing with my girlfriends, we're dancing 3 hours straight, quality.
Yes.
Right? I'm quality into all the spaces of my life. So the recommendation is surrender this idea really of work-life balance.
Yes.
Because if you think about a seesaw, and if you sat on a seesaw and someone who was exactly the same weight sat on the other side and you didn't move, you would be bored.
Yes.
Balanced, but bored. Right? And life is not meant to be boring. So we need that teetering. We need that up and down. And when we go up, we get high. We feel the celebration, the gratitude. And when we go down, we remember, oh, I have the power, literally on a seesaw in my legs, to push myself back up.
Yes.
Same thing in life.
Yes.
When you teeter down, you have everything you need. You're resilient. You're resourceful. You're powerful to get yourself back up. And when you get up, celebrate. Right? When we're on a seesaw and we go up, it's whee! And then you go down, you're like, ah! That's life. Right?
Yes.
And it's fun when you say it's going to be fun.
Yes.
Call life fun. Call life an adventure. Call life a journey. And then move into those spaces with that energy so that you increase the quality of your life. That's really work-life balance, right?
Yes.
It's the quality of your life.
And I like just what you said there, because intention is so big. And I think a lot of us will forget that it's your job to say, these are the things in my life that truly matter. These are the big rocks in the business. But then also thinking beyond that, I think we can get a little bit robotic in our thinking and make everything on our to-do and priority list like this, achieve that, versus, hey, have some fun. And if you do that, which actually has been a huge thing for me this year too, you do really experience more fulfillment, more release and relief. And then the next thing is that, like, that whole perfect, I think it's the perfect. We want to be perfect and live perfect little lives. And Jim Loehr has done amazing work in that. In order for you to create balance in your life, it's like developing your bicep and your tricep, right? If your tricep was too strong, so if you were having too much fun and there wasn't some hardship, then you wouldn't be able to really fully function your arm, right? So you have to work your bicep and your tricep to have a balanced arm. So even in this, like, up down with the seesaw, if we bring it back to that analogy, there's balance in that you are growing and becoming stronger as a human being and experiencing true fun, happiness, fulfillment, everything that we want. Maria, your book, tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, Super Sparkly Everything is the name of my book. And the book has been writing itself for like 10 years in my head. And then last year, actually it was the year before, I finally decided, why am I sitting on this? I just need to write my book. So I wrote the book, and each chapter starts with a story that's not so sparkly. And then I go through some of the things that I literally did, like some of the techniques and the changes, and some of these things I still do in order to keep myself in a place where I'm sane and where I'm healthy, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all those things. And then at the end, I kind of take that story and I flip it and say, so it turns out it wasn't the worst thing ever, right? When you talked about the bicep and the tricep and the balance and the hardships, and sometimes you're right, we need those in our lives, and they're not always necessarily the most horrible thing ever.
No.
And even when I think about the abuse in my past, I can now look back on that and say, yeah, that happened to me. Those are facts about my past, but those don't have to be precursors for my future, one. And two, the fact that I'm still here, that means I'm strong.
Yes.
That means I'm brilliant. That means I'm capable. So I like to flip those stories over and, remind people just because you went through the hard, it didn't break you, because if it did, you wouldn't still be here, right? Mm-hmm. And so the fact that you're still here, you're amazing and incredible and powerful and able, and we have to remind ourselves of that more often. And the fact that you overcame that, what else? Everything else is like a molehill compared to the mountains,
yes,
that you've overcome.
Absolutely.
There's this short poem by D.H. Lawrence, and I might be misquoting it. It's really short. He says, I've never seen a wild thing sorry for itself. A small bird will fall frozen dead from its bough without ever having felt sorry for itself. And it's that, like, we have to get out of this space of self-pitying.
Yes.
And instead go, that's real, that happened, watch what I do now.
Yes.
And the book is really about turning things over and seeing the sparkly in everything.
Oh, I love that. And I'm definitely going to read it. For our readers, if they wanted to get that, where could they get it?
They can get it on Amazon.
Okay, perfect. And it's sparkly everything. So just tying back into this, I also recently wrote an article about, it's called Warrior. So if you wanted to read it, but it's about something that happened in my life. The same thing about, like, it's something that your past doesn't have to define you.
That's right.
And again, that is a decision that you make. And what made me think about it now is, as you were saying, like, you don't have to pity yourself. And I say, you don't have to be the victim of your life.
Right.
You can be the warrior of your life, and you can stand up. You can take those experiences. And like Maria said, and Maria has been through a lot of stuff. She has a very, unique background, I think, an interesting story. And for her to stand here and be a TEDx speaker and just be an amazing life coach, that is, what else is coming? Like her daughter said, I can do anything.
I can do anything.
So that is what we're going to leave all of you, our listeners, here with today.
Yeah.
You can do anything. You have a choice. Yes. And you can choose to accomplish whatever you want. Maria, thank you so much for joining us. We will link.
You for having me.
You're very welcome. We will link your book in the show notes for everyone to see. And have a wonderful afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.